Welcome in this module, Basic Functionalities of Microsoft Dynamics NAV. This is a very important module where I'm going to get you started on working in Dynamics NAV. Let's have an overview. So I'm going to start by explaining that you can use function keys and keyboard shortcuts to work in the application, so you don't always have to use your mouse. Then I'm going to demonstrate and explain the different ways how we can enter and edit the information, also depending on the type of field that we are using. I'm going to demonstrate the zoom or the about this page functionality, how you can run a report, how you can apply sorting, searching and filters in the application, and how you can also navigate from one record to another record. Then I'm going to demonstrate how you can integrate and send information from Microsoft Dynamics NAV towards other Microsoft Office products such as Word and Excel. I'm going to demonstrate how you can print a report and export it, for example, to PDF, Word and all of the other rendering extensions, and also how we can, for example, print a document or generate a document via email. And last but not least, I'm going to cover the Navigate functionality, which has been developed to enable users to look for posted documents and to find related information. When you want to choose a command or do anything else in Microsoft Dynamics NAV, you can either use the mouse or the keyboard. Many users find it more intuitive to use a mouse. However, as soon as you learn how, it can be much more efficient to use the keyboard. By going to the help, you can find an overview of all of the keyboard shortcuts you can use in Dynamics NAV. Let's have a look. If you open the help of Microsoft Dynamics NAV, and you can look for the topic working with Microsoft Dynamics NAV, working with data. And here you will get an overview of the shortcuts you can use depending on the kind of window or screen that you have opened. Let's have a look in the application. Here I am inside of the application, and I'm actually here on the customer list. On the top of the window, we have the ribbon in which we have all of the actions that we can use. And as you will notice, when I hover the mouse over the new action, a tooltip appears and it shows me Ctrl-N is the shortcut for this action. And for example, if I then am going to click on Ctrl and the N key, I'm going to create a new customer and the new customer card window opens. Very similarly, all of the other actions that I have in here, view, edit and delete, also have shortcuts that I can use. And for example, to go to the statistics of a master record, in this case a customer, I can use the F7 shortcut. The same thing is valid if I'm going, for example, to have a look at my items. So let me look for the list of items. And here I am actually on the list of items. There is also a shortcut to open the statistics. If I click on F7, the window will also open. So the same shortcuts for similar actions are available throughout the complete application. So learning these shortcuts will help you and it will enable you to perform a much faster data entry and analysis in the application. Let's have a look at how we can enter and edit information. Now, entering and editing information will depend on the type of field that we are using. I'm going to start with the date fields, and the date fields can only accept date parameters. Let's have a look in the application. So here I am in the creation of a new sales order, and we have a date field here called posting dates. The easiest thing to do from a user's point of view would be, for example, to click on the date field and then to select a date in the drop-down. I can scroll here in the months, I can select the day, I can also click on today, or I can click here on the month itself and have a different scrolling view, and then I can also click back on the year to select a different year. And so depending on where you click, you're actually zooming out of the dates. Now, of course, instead of selecting a date, I can also fill in a number. And if I'm going to fill in a number, for example, 12, you're going to notice that there is an auto-completion, and the day is going to be filled in. I can also do 0101, for example, to select the 1st of January of this year. And what I can also do is, if I type in 010115, I'm also specifying the year. I'm going to notice it's the 1st of January in 2015. If you don't specify the year, the system is going to use the year of the current date or work date in the system. So this is how we can enter dates. When entering dates in the system, we can also make use of some interesting shortcuts. Let's have an overview. For example, if I am on a date field, I can enter W in the system, and W will be then evaluated to the work date. And you might remember the work date is a date you can set as a user in the application. T will be evaluated into today's date, C into a closing date, and so on. Let's have a look at an example in the application. So here I am on a sales order, I'm on the posting date, and if I'm going to enter a T, T will be evaluated into today's date. T is today. I can also type in a W. W stands for work date, which is usually a different date than today's date. So by using these shortcuts, I will be able to enter information in dates much faster. Now there are also, for example, number fields, and the number field is only capable to accept numbers or numerical values. Let's have a look at how we can work with a number field in the application. So I am here in my order. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new line. I'm going to select a type item. Then I'm going to select an item number. I'm going to notice the description is going to be filled in automatically. And next I will be able to enter a quantity. Now if I'm going to type in a number, and the system is going to accept this value, and the number is also going to be formatted. In this case there is a warning about availability, but I can just discard the message, and the quantity is entered into the system. Now if I'm going to go on a numerical field, I'm going to enter, for example, something else, like test, and the system is not going to accept this as a value, and an error message is thrown. And next I can go back into this field and I can replace the information in here. Something interesting to know about numerical fields is that you can also, for example, make calculations in here. I can say 1 plus 8, and then it's going to be converted into 10. Let me just close this window again, click on yes, and then you're going to see it's going to be added. So that's how we can work with numerical fields. Then there are also text fields. A text field is capable to accept information in any format. It's going to be alphanumerical information. Let's have a look in the application itself. So a text field, for example, here description is a typical example. I can type in some information. This is a bicycle, and the system is going to accept it. I can also type in numbers or special characters because it's a text field, and the system is going to allow this. So in a text field we can enter anything. Then there are code fields, and code fields are special fields because they can only accept predefined codes. Let's have a look in the application. So an example of a code field is this location. Usually if I am on a code field, there will be a drop-down arrow on which I can click, and I can select one of the predefined fields. So in this case, I can change the location code from something to blue. Now, if the field is not available here in a drop-down list, in many cases, you will have the possibility to create new fields. Besides the code, as you can see, the number is also a code field. If I'm going to click on it, I will be able to select another number from the drop-down. Now, in the case of an item, let me just add a new line in this order. So I'm going to select another item. I'm going to click on the drop-down of this code field for the field number. And actually, I don't really know the number by heart. I know the description. Then what I can do is I can click on the description column and just start typing in the first letter or the first letters of the word, and the list will be filtered. And that's also a way on how I can work with code fields in the application. Then there are flow fields. Flow fields actually will display amounts and quantity fields. And the flow field is a special field because it's going to be calculated by the system automatically. Let's have a look in the application. Usually we have these flow fields that are displayed here in the fact boxes. But if I'm going to close this order and, for example, return to my customer, here I am on the customer records. Let me just open a customer card. Here I also have an example of a flow field. A flow field is actually shown in a non-editable way. It's showing me the balance of this customer, and actually there's a calculation behind this field. If I click on the flow field, we'll be able to see the underlying entries. That's typically a flow field. Usually, depending on where I am in the application, there are many flow fields and that we can select. In this lesson, I'm going to cover the About This Page and About This Report feature. Now, a page is merely a view on a database table. Therefore, in the table, we might have much more fields than the fields that are currently shown on the page. And via the About This Page feature, we'll be able to drill down and have a look at all of those fields. Let's have a look in the application. So here I am in the application on a customer card. As you might notice, we have some fields divided into different fast steps. Then if I go to the application, I can go, for example, here to the help and select the About This Page feature. And this feature, or the zoom feature as it's also named, will give me a view on the current page. I can see, okay, this is the page number, this is the table that I'm currently looking at. And then I can have a look a little bit lower at all of the fields which are also coming from the table. As you can see, the fields are in alphabetical order, starting with the key fields. And if I scroll down, I have the possibility to have a look at the values for all of the fields which are in the table, even if the fields aren't shown in the page itself. Now, this feature isn't only valid for when I'm going to run a page, the feature is also valid when I'm going to run a report. Let's have a look at a report. So I'm going to run a report in here. And what I can do, for example, is I can immediately activate the About This Page feature from within the request page of a report. Then I can preview the report itself. And once the report has been rendered, then I can also go again here into the About This Report feature with the same shortcut, Ctrl-Alt-F1, to have a look at the underlying data sets. And here you can see all of the records of the report, even if the records aren't currently shown in the report layout itself. Let's have a look now at how we can create notes about records in the system. So in the application, when I go to a record, which might be a customer, an item, or any record shown in the application, you might have noticed here in the fact boxes a notes fact box. Now, how do I create a note about the customer? Well, I'm first going to select the record, then I'm going to open it in edit mode, and then you can see there is a link that allows me to create a new note. I can type down some information about the customer, and there is a special requirement for this customer when a delivery is going to be made. For example, the store is only open at certain hours. I have the customer on the phone, and I'm able to edit and save this information as a note for this specific customer. Now, the advantage of a note is that what I can also do is I can also send this note to someone within the application or within my company. I can have them notified. If I'm going to click on the Save button, the note is going to be saved for this customer, but I've also sent it to someone, and that person in his or her role center is going to see the note arriving in the My Notifications pane. So here I can see a note has been generated. I can right-click. I can, for example, go to the customer page for which the note was created. Or I can also right-click and I can view the notification. Here I can see the text. I can see when it was created and who was sent it to me. Now, besides a note, we can also create links in the application. Let's have a look at how we can do this. So here I am again on this customer. As you can see here on the right side, there is a fact box that displays the current links. And to create a new link, I can click on the Links button. A window opens, and here in the menu, I have the possibility to create a new link. What I can do is I can link to a folder on my network or on my drive. I can link towards a document, or I can also type in the link of a website. For example, I'm going to link to this website, and then I can have it added in the links of my customer. As you can see, it's available in here, and I also have the possibility, if there is a link on a record, to click on this button to have this link opened in the browser. If it's a website or if it's a document, then the link, the document will be opened by just selecting it here in the links fastbox. Let's have a look now at the Send to Word and Send to Excel functionality. So within the application, from within any window, I can go into the application menu, and then I can use the Send menu, for example, to send this list of customers to Microsoft Word. A Word document is created, which I can open immediately. As you can see in the Word document, I have all of the information available, and there's also a style sheet applied, which will apply some colors and some formatting. And this style sheet can be developed by a developer. I can also go again into the application menu and, for example, send the information towards Microsoft Excel. Also in Excel, a style sheet is applied. I can see all of the fields, and I can also automatically filter on any of these fields, which makes it very easy to find back information in the Excel sheet. Sometimes you would like to send an email from within the application containing the information which is currently displayed on screen. Let's see how we can do this. So in the application, I can go again into the application menu, select Print and Send, and then the Email as Attachment option. This option will assemble the information currently displayed in the page, and it will create an email. I can then complete the email, and I can also have a look at the attachment which was created, in this case, a list of customers. Let's have a look at how we can print reports and documents. There are several options available to be able to print reports and documents in Dynamics NAV. One of the options is to schedule reports, and we can also send posted sales invoices directly by email to our customers. Let's see how we can do this in the application. Here in the application, I'm going to use the customer top 10 list. When I launch the report as a user, the request page is opened, and I have the possibility here in the Options tab and the other tabs to apply some filters. Now, besides that, once I have entered my information in here, I'm going to use the print button to be able to generate the report. If I use print, I will send it directly towards the printer, and I can also have the report generated as a PDF file, a Word file, and an Excel file. And let's look here at an example of a Word file. The file is generated, and I can automatically open the reports. The next thing that I can do, if I'm going to run the report again, here in the print button, you can see there is also a scheduling option. I can use this feature if I don't want to run the report immediately, but I would like to schedule it for the report to be generated at another moment. If I select this option, then here I can select an output format for my report. I would like this to be generated, for example, as an Excel or as a Word or as a PDF document. I can also send it to a specific printer, and I can also say, okay, this report needs to be generated starting from a specific date, with also an expiration date as an option. Once I'm going to click on the OK button, the report is going to be scheduled in the job scheduler, and after a few moments, we'll be able to go into my role center, have a look in the report inbox, and here I can see the report which has been generated. I can select the report and then display the information. In this case, the file will be opened, and I can have a look at the report itself. And what I can also do, for example, here in my inbox is filter to only the reports which I haven't opened yet. Then what we can also do, for example, if I go and have a look here in the posted documents, here I have the list of the posted sales invoices that have been generated. I can, of course, click on the print button to be able to print this report, but there's also an option available which allows me to create and email this report directly to my customer. So I'm going to click on the email button. The information is assembled from the invoice. The to address is automatically filled in. It comes from the invoice itself. Then I can complete the message, for example, hi, this is your invoice, and so on. And then I can, for example, click on OK. I can send it immediately, or I can also edit the message in my Outlook application. As you notice here, the email is automatically generated. All of the fields and the subjects and the attachments have been prepared, and now I can complete the message, and then I can send it all from within Dynamics NAV. In this lesson, I will demonstrate how we can sort information in the application. Within the sorting functionality in Microsoft Dynamics NAV, you can decide the order in which information is displayed. Sorting information is very intuitive and very easy, as I will now demonstrate. Here I am on the list of sales orders, and they are displayed sorted by the number of the sales order. Now what I can do is I can select any of the columns in here. I can do a right click, and I can say, for example, sort by cell to customer name in an ascending or in a descending way. Now, instead of doing a right click on one of these columns, what I can also do is I can do a double click, for example, on location codes. Then the information is going to be sorted, and if we click again, it is going to go from ascending into descending mode. Then what we can also do is we can, for example, apply a filter or a sorting in this case on multiple columns. For this I'm going to use my shift button. And if I use the shift button and also select the status field, I'm now sorting on both columns. First on location code and then on the status. And by using the shift button again and then doing a double click, and you can also change the sort order and you can include some extra columns. I can remove the sorting by doing a right click again and then just selecting one of the columns. And actually I'm able to do this in any list in the application on any of the columns currently displayed. Let's see how we can find information in the application. In a live ERP system, your database will have thousands of entries. Being able to search through this data or limit the data by filtering is really important if you want to work efficiently. Basically, you have two ways to find your information quickly. Search by using Find and Go To, and filtering. Let me demonstrate this. So, one way of searching for information in the application is by using the Find functionality. Let's go in the application and have a look. So here I am in the application itself. And to find information, what I can do is I can use the Ctrl F shortcut. A window will now open and it will allow me, for example, to find a row where the name field or any of the other columns matches or contains, for example, a number of characters. I can type in the characters, I can click on Find Next, and as you will notice, the application is going to locate the record and the next record that I have shown. Depending on the character that I enter, you're going to notice a different type of search which is going to be applied. If I only know the number of the customer and I know it starts with a 12, for example, the system is going to look for this customer. And as you notice, matches 12. 12 is now here in the number and the customer has been found. So this is the find, which you can launch via Ctrl F. Another way of searching for information is using the Go To feature. Let me demonstrate this. So here I am back in the application, and imagine that you have opened a cart page for a specific customer. Right now I am on this customer, and I can immediately jump to another one by using the Go feature. With the Ctrl G shortcut, a window opens and I can now navigate to another page, for example, where the number matches, and then I can type in something. Click on the Next button, and now I'm actually navigating to another customer from within the cart document that is currently open. We can select any of the columns or the fields from this page, and I can use them in the Ctrl G or in the Go To functionality. Now, besides searching for information, filtering information is evenly important. One way to apply filters is by using the Quick Filter functionality. Let's see how we can do that. So I am here in the list of customers, and because it's a list page, on top of the page, I'm able to type in a filter. For example, I'm going to select the name or one of the other columns which is currently displayed, and then I'm going to type in a C. And as soon as I leave this field, you're noticing that actually the list is now filtered, and the name needs to contain a C in this case. I can also, for example, select a location code, and then I'm going to type in yellow, and the list is now going to be filtered on all of the location codes with the value yellow. So this is a possibility to enter a quick filter in the application. Another way of doing it would be to do a right click, for example, on any of the columns, and then to use the filter to this value option, or Alt F3. And this is also going to filter, in this case, on that field. And as you notice, the field that I have selected in the filter on this value is automatically added here in the quick filter pane of this list page. Another way of filtering a window is by using the advanced filter functionality. Let me demonstrate this in the application. The advanced filter functionality can be accessed by opening the filter pane with this expand button. As you notice, what I can do here is I can add multiple fields in here on which I'm going to apply a filter. For example, I'm going to apply a filter where the number needs to start with a 2. So in this case, I'm going to enter 2 and then an asterisk. And then I'm also going to say, okay, the name, for example, needs to contain or start with an S. Now this filtering is actually case sensitive, so I need to type in, for example, a capital S if I would like to be able to find the correct name or the correct list here. So capital S with a star, 2 with a star means that at this moment all of the customers where the number begins with a 2 and the name starts with an S are going to be displayed. I can include some other fields, I can remove some filters, and the list is going to be updated automatically. So this is actually applying an advanced filtering into my list page. When entering criteria in filters, until now we have kept it very simple, but we can also make use of more complex filter criteria. Let me show you an example in the application. So I will go here to my list of customers. At the moment all of the customers are displayed, and imagine that I'm going to apply here a filter on the location code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the location code in my list. And then I'm going to select the location code value, for example, yellow. At this moment, only the yellow locations are being displayed. What I can do in here to make it a more complex filter criteria is to use the pipe character. And then I can, for example, also select another location code, red. In that case, my list is now going to be filtered on both of the location codes, red and yellow. So this means that all of the customers need to be displayed where the location code is either yellow or red. So that's how I can use the pipe character. Now, instead of using a pipe character, I can also include the filter on the number. And then I can say, for example, it should start with a 3 or should be bigger than 3. I can use the dot not notation, so starting from 3, and then the number should be higher. Or I can also say, for example, from 3 to 4. And in that case, only the customers where the number starts with a 3 or a 4 will be displayed in the list. This is actually making use of these special characters in the filter criteria. I can also change the filter. For example, I can go back onto the name of my customer, and then I can say the name should start with a C, for example. In this filter criteria, I'm filtering on the location code and the name using special criteria. Now, depending on the field that we are in, there are different types of filter criteria that we can apply. Let me give you a small overview in the presentation. So let's say, for example, that I'm entering a filter on a field using the range notation with the 2 dots. I can use a starting value and an ending value. I can also leave out the starting value. In this case, any number up to and including 2500 will be shown. In a date field, I can, for example, use the P8 to display information about accounting period 8 and thereafter. I can also say in here until 23, if it's a time field, for example, between 22 and 23. I can even make some more complex combinations of filter criteria. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to include any records with the number 5999 or a number in this range of numbers. Here I have an example where I'm going to include records with a number less than 1299 or a number bigger than 1400. So you can see here by using these special characters, you can create complex filter criteria. I've displayed a couple of examples here in the presentation, but if you go into the online help of Dynamics NAV, you can find many, many more examples. Last but not least, there is also the Save View As functionality. Let's go back to the application where I can demonstrate this. Here in the application, I've spent some time to create some complex filter criteria. Now imagine that the next time I would like to apply this criteria again, then I don't want to enter them manually. What I can do is I can click here on the customer button and I can save the current view. And by clicking on Save View As, a window opens. I can select the predefined name. I can save it in the home menu, or I can also save it in another menu. If I'm now going to click on the OK button, and the view has been saved, I'm going to restart the application. And then here in the home menu, for example, below customers, and there is a link to the view that I've just created. If I click on my view, I will be able to see the filters that I have applied. And if I click on the original customer list, I will be able to see the customers without a filter applied. From in here, I can of course return to my view. I can include some extra filters and I can save it as a new view or save it in the current view. So that's how we can make use of the Save View and Save View As functionality. Now that we have learned how we can apply filters and look for information in the application, let me demonstrate how we can use that to also navigate. Here in the application, I'm looking here at the view of customers, which is displaying me a list of customers, which is currently filtered. Now, if I'm going to open a customer by double-clicking or clicking here on the view, the cart page is going to open. To be able to navigate from this customer to another customer in the same filtered list, I can make use here of the navigation buttons. I can click on the next button to go to the next customer, or the previous button. Now, for these actions, there are also some shortcuts which we can use. You can use the control page down to go to the next customer, and you can also use the control page up shortcut to go to the previous customer. So if I use these shortcuts, you're also going to notice the window is navigating. Now, the cart page, which is displaying the customer, is actually bound to the filter that I have applied. So only the navigation is going to happen only on the filters which are currently here in this view of customers. Let's have a look at the Navigate functionality. The Navigate page will help you analyze business figures across the complete database. The Navigate page is available from all list pages that display posted entries, but you can also find it in the application manually. Let me give you a demonstration. Here in the application, I'm looking at the list of the posted sales invoices. Now, from within this list, I can select any of these invoices, and then I can click on the Navigate button. This will open the Navigate window with some predefined filters. What I'm seeing right now is the information about this sales invoice and the related information in the posted entry tables. For example, for this sales invoice, and there were a number of VAT entries created, GL entries, customer ledger entries, and so on. I can see in which tables entries were made, and I can also see the number of entries. Then what I can do if I'm a user is I can select one of these tables, and I can click on the Show button to show me the list or the document that the entries relate to. Now, the Navigate functionality is available in all of the lists that show actually posted documents, but I can also look for it in the application or in the department suite itself. I can type in Navigate, for example, and as you are going to notice, the Navigate functionality is included in the history folder of all of the functional areas in Dynamics NAV. If I click on it, the same window is going to open. Now, if you launch Navigate manually, and there are no filter criteria filled in, but then what I can do is, for example, I can type in a specific date and or a document number and click on the Find button. Next, the Navigate window is going to look for all of the postings which occurred on that date. So we can use it to track back or to try to find out what happened at the specific moment. I can see that on the 28th of January, and there was one posted sales invoice which was created. I can click on the Show button to see the actual posted invoice. Now imagine that I have, for example, a customer on the phone, and that they're asking questions about a specific invoice, but I'm not the person who created the invoice. Well, then I have the customer on the phone. I'm going to ask him or her for the number of the invoice. I'm going to type it in here in the Navigate window, and I'm going to click on the Find button. Then immediately I can see when the invoice was created. I can select the invoice here in the list. I can show it. And I also will have a look at all of the related entries and will be able to assist my customer more quickly. So that's how we can make use of the Navigate functionality as an extra search functionality inside Dynamics NAV. In this module, I explained and demonstrated some very important basic functionalities of Microsoft Dynamics NAV. Let's review them together. So I started by explaining that you can use your keyboard and some function keys and shortcuts to work in the application. So you can stop using your mouse, and you can gain some time when performing data entry. I also explained how we can enter and edit information, and depending on the type of fields, which is actually allowed and not allowed information. I demonstrated the zoom, which we can use, for example, to have a detailed look in the About This Page and Report feature, how we can run a report, how we can apply sorting, searching, filtering, and how we can navigate from one record to another record in the application. Then I demonstrated how we can send information from Microsoft Dynamics NAV towards other Office products, such as Word and Excel. I demonstrated how we can run and print a report and a document, how we can send it via email, and also how we can, for example, schedule a report for it to arrive in our inbox via a desired schedule that we can create. And last but not least, I also covered the navigate functionality, which allows us as a user to navigate and look for all of the posted entries and their related informations.